Let's test some Ryobi tool. Today we're going to test 7-inch blade skill saw from Ryobi. This is the HP version, the PBL CS 300. And we're going to test it, not cutting 2x4, not cutting sheets of plywood, but actually do a real test to see how powerful this saw is by cutting this patio tile. We're gonna see if the HP skill saw is strong enough to do that, or if it's just going to stall all the time. Hopefully it doesn't burn out, because there's no more warranty on it. What we really need to know is how thick it is. And this is 2-inch thick and 7/16. Now we're going to test that circular saw using the 6-amp-hour battery, then the 4-amp-hour Ryobi Hedge, and this monster 12-amp-hour battery. And we're going to do those cuts using the Graph Diamond blade, which is rated for concrete and stone. This will be in my Amazon storefront if you're interested. All right, let's test this out. Now, this blade might not be deep enough to be able to do it in one shot. We might have to turn the stone after. We'll see how it goes. Make sure to use a dust mask and safety glasses when cutting stone or concrete. We're starting the test with a Ryobi 6-amp-hour battery because it used the common lithium battery cell 18650. But it is an HP battery, therefore it's able to run cooler and push extra power to the circular saw. The circular saw has a brushless motor that turns at a speed up to 300 RPM. We're now entering the midway point on that saw blade. Now we're really going to see if the saw is able to handle all that pressure. So far so good. Do you think we're going to be able to make it to the end of that stone with just the one battery charge? Or do you think the saw or the battery is going to go in overheat protection mode? Wow, this saw is sure making lots of dust. Now it's raining today, so that dust doesn't travel too far. But if you're going to dry cut anything like this, make sure to double check your bylaw to see if it's legal to do this in your area. Or you can use the vacuum adapter in the back of the saw, and that will help keep some of the dust down. We're now at 1 minute and 15 seconds. We're almost at the halfway point. I told you that we were going to push that circular saw to its limit. And so far, it hasn't stalled or burned out. Tell me in the comments how many bars is going to be left on this battery when we're done that cut. If you need to cut at an angle, the base of this circular saw can get adjusted up to 56 degrees. When I cut wood in my garage, I do use the vacuum adapter, and it works great. It looks like we're almost done, just a little bit further. Actually, it was deep enough to do the cut the whole way. Perfect. It is pretty dusty, but now, if you ask me, I don't think I would go less than 6-amp-hour battery, so it gives the extra power the saw. You want to see how hard that was on this battery. This was fully charged when we started. We only did one cut, and that 6-amp-hour battery is already drained at half. The 4-amp HP battery is pretty similar to the 6-amp-hour when we tested on the impact wrench. And to this video, let's see if we can do the full cut with that 4-amp-hour Edge battery. Alright, to understand why this saw is behaving completely different than this concrete, we need to talk about what's actually powering it. standard cordless tool usually run a traditional 18650 lithium-ion cell. They're smaller, they've been in the industry standard for years, but under extreme stress, like dragging a diamond blade through 2 inches of solid masonry, they generate a massive amount of heat and choke out on high current draw. That's where the Ryobi Edge platform is a game changer. Inside the spec, Ryobi upgraded to a significantly larger 21700 cell. The biggest physical footprint alone means more capacity and more raw muscle, but the real breakthrough here is the tabless cell technology. Traditional cell use a restrictive metal tab to transfer the power out of the cell, which act like a bottleneck, creating a massive resistance and heat. Tabless cell remove that bottleneck completely, allowing energy to flow freely across the entire structure. Because they run way cooler, it eliminates internal resistance. You get massive sustained power delivery without the battery going into thermal protection mode. It's the difference between a tool that constantly stalls out under load and one that just keeps digging. It looks like the cut's almost done, just a little bit further. Tell me in the comment, what's your guess for this Edge battery? How many bars are going to be left over when we're done? Okay, so the Edge battery, at the beginning I was making a little bit of different noise when I was pushing it, but I was just trying to reinstall my hand at the back, and I noticed too that I didn't have the saw completely flat. That's why I backed up a little bit and restart. At the end of it, it did stall once. So let's see about this battery here. Also 2 bars left. Now we're gonna try a 12 amp hour battery. See if it cuts faster or if it does a better job. There is a misconception out there that because this is a Ryobi flagship battery, it must have the exact same tabless technology as the Edge battery, but that's actually not the case. Make no mistake, this beast does actually upgrade to the high performance 21700 cells instead of the standard 18650s. But it actually achieved its jaw-dropping power through a completely different engineering strategy, sheer brute force footprint. Instead of the advanced tabless internal structure, this 12 amp hour pack wire multiple row of heavy-duty 21700 cells together in parallel. It gives the motor a massive deep reservoir of energy to pull from. When you force the saw into a high-load material like solid concrete, this tool isn't drawing maximum current from a single line of cell. It spread that brutal workload across the entire heavy-duty pack. It might not run as cool as the tabless Edge tech, but for sustainable, unstoppable torque that keeps the blade RPM spinning to the limit, nothing beats the raw capacity. And it looks like we're already passing the halfway point. You can see that this battery haven't stalled at all or slowed down the blade. It just keeps chewing through that patio tile at full speed. Now let me know in the comments, how many bars do you think that's gonna take to go through this patio stone with that 12 amp hour battery? Just a little bit more, we're almost done. Let's say about our 12 amp hour battery. We have 3 bars left into it. I don't know if it's just me, but I thought I heard it run way faster with this. It sounds like it was easier to sounds like it was easier to get going and to cut through at the beginning through that stone. It didn't stall at all. Seems that I have constant power with it. So yeah, with the 12 amp hour battery, it was great. And the saw blade there, I recommend it. I think it's doing a good job. So yeah, now I'll go and finish my other cut and finish that project. I hope that this helps you know if this saw is good enough for you, or if you can cut patio stone with it too. This is a great tool to have. Now I have the brush version, and I was going to compare the brush versus the brushless, but I didn't realize that they're actually not the same size of blade. The other one is, I think it's 5 inch or something like that, so the blade didn't fit. I can't compare this for you right now. But you have a good idea. This one can do it no problem. And but yeah, I would go with bigger battery, or at least 6 amp hour batteries. As you can see, it was making a huge difference. All right, we'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, check out the Ryobi playlist if you're interested in more Ryobi reviews.